best to go to think, because we can just silently smile at each other. Just see the bloom. I'm like, nice, there's a new one. So that has been like my happy place. My name's Charity Oyo. Um, I do development work, mainly community development, and yeah, I love plants. Yeah, and yeah, that has been, I think, part of I think cheer, because with community development comes with a lot of like busyness in terms of both mental and physical, or even travels in and out of Kampala, different places. But coming back home uh, to the plants, it's been always the best thing, usually, because I am always excited coming back to something that excites me, because maybe I'm out there, I'm listening to people's sad stories, I'm seeing maybe bad situations. But just the combination of having plants in my life and just coming back to that, it kind of takes the burden. I feel like coming back home with the heaviness of so many challenges, so many exhaustion, and then coming back to plants and then seeing some colors and blooming, things, some new foliage, and it's just been a blessing, both personal and even my work life. Hard question usually, because I think I love everything, but I think mostly I like colorful plants, like flowering plants. I like to have lots of color. I know lately I'm a bit obsessed with cosmos, because they just bring just too much bloom, like everything around. I also used to love petunias, but they're a bit hard to take care sometimes. Sometimes they do so well, sometimes I've done well, then sometimes they don't. So it's just been interesting, like to just see how the interests keep changing. At some point, I really loved the midnillas, until when I no longer had one. Somebody convinced me and took it away. So I have new ones which haven't bloomed. So now I have shifted to mandevillas. Then I have the the bougainvilleas. So asking for a favorite plant, it's really not an easy question, but I think I love color of plants. I sometimes geraniums, and then when I have them and they're like really my favorites, and then they die, and then I don't have any anymore. Yeah, I think one of the things is, of course, like I know, which is bothering for the human beings, like watering. Yeah, they tell us drink water, drink lots of water all the time. So the plants also need water. Of course, I know some of them are picky. They don't want a lot, but just understanding. I think taking time to understand which ones like more water and which ones don't like water. But regular, of course, well watering, of course, it goes back to the consideration of even how the drainage of the plant is in terms of the soil used to plant them. Yeah, but I think making sure that they're well fed, so both the water and then the fertilizers. So some I used to do, sometimes it depends. There's when I'm so busy, and then when I have time to be able to work with the gardener, I'm able to do the like twice a week fertilizing. Sometimes when we're too busy, it might be like once a month, or even changing the soils. So I do both organic fertilizers, and also sometimes I also apply the what's that name? It's not Dugro. Dugro is for the hair. Miracle Grow. Yeah, yeah. So I use that. I use that too. That soluble one. So that's the one. Also, sometimes I apply twice a week. Sorry, not twice a week, twice a month. So like 2 weeks in a month. After every 2 weeks, so twice a month or once a month, depending on availability. And also being honest, sometimes, after like 3 months when it's a busy season and nothing happens, and somehow they survive. Actually have good for specifically for roses, and also for acid loving plants. So I've had the different types. So there's some that are general for all the plants, and then some specific to blooming plants, and then some specific to acid loving plants like the azaleas, and the hydrangeas, and even some for the like the trees like those cypress trees. Yes, so they're actually different types. So some are general, some are bloom, some are better growth. So I just keep trying the different ones. I'm a bit crazy around that that generous to my plants. I get all the different ones. Yeah. Back to I think like growing up in Western Uganda, I think we had the influence of missionaries, and so there are lots of dahlias, and actually cosmoses used to be there. So around churches, there used to be like flowers, which I really liked to see. Um, yes, at home, my mom had a few of them, but not really so much. But I think mainly I used to see them at churches, and I really used to like them. But then also getting into like community development, I used to teach about kitchen gardens, and so just thinking of how you can use anything like available resources to be able to like survive for coping. I used to teach about like urban farming, people that live in small spaces, and then you need to think of how can I, like, people would ask like how can I have a kitchen garden when I'm in a one roomed house or something, but also how, and then thinking of creativity of using like tins or sacks or hanging them somewhere, and you just have a few vegetables, because then if you're living in a one bedroom house, then it means either you're just one person, and then you just need like 3 leaves of spinach. So you could just get a cavera or something and just hang it around your house. So it was through just thinking outside the box, then being creative. I actually would grow like gobe in small tins in pots. Actually, my first flowers used to be vegetables. I would have gobe, but then you would also find I'm incorporating gobe in the roses. So I'll have like a bucket with roses, and in there's gobe. So I have my flower, but then I also have my vegetable in. Yes. So, and then I kept, of course, like trying to read or research. So I really like try to read a lot now, things to do with plants generally, yeah, like generally plants, but also flowers. So then creativity around all those, yeah, and then that kept growing my passion. So it's both in terms of crops, but also even flowers. But then I realized, oh, I actually need color in my life, because everything else is green. You're talking about corn, it's going to be green and everything. Or uh, the purple cabbages, it's just some those dull colors. And then I realized, okay, the incorporation of the plants actually gives it also more life. Yeah, I think, and then I think I'm a bit of an introvert. So sometimes when people meet me, and or maybe over time because of nature of my work, I've learned to talk. But then I realized plants were actually my best to go to thing, because we can just silently smile at each other. Just see the bloom. I'm like, nice, there's a new one. Yeah, so that has been like my happy place. And so that developed my interest in continuing to research about different plants, but also keeping on collecting. I I keep collecting. You think dealing with people teaches you patience, but plants have taught me patience, perseverance, self-forgiving. This time, not forgiving the plant, but both forgiving myself, forgiving the caretakers, and I have to continue on, because you can't imagine coming back from long days of a field trip. You've had sunburns, you've been like in a very rough, tough environment, and coming back home to your plant of 250 that died. So, first of all, you're just thinking, imagine I wasted money. How could I spend on such a plant? And then thinking, how could you let this plant die? I'm talking to the caretaker. But then I realize, okay, sometimes it's not their fault. They're also either learning, but also the plant is not maybe acclimatizing to a kind of climate or something. So I've had to think through asking questions why, but also I've had to connect this to actually the relationship with God too. Yeah, just helping me to connect and say God knows why this happened. But then with all the losses, I know I have lost a number of plants, expensive plants, but I've not given up. And that connects me of like how even in the spiritual life we're not giving up. You get challenges like ups and downs, but then you don't give up. Christ has not come yet. I have to hang in. So same thing with the plants. I still have to keep getting the plants. Told myself that if I bought a plant and then it stayed for 3 months and died, I should just think of if I went and bought cuttings and then had them for a week and they withered. So same thing. So I said, okay, so this would take a week or maybe 2 weeks. This took 3 months or even more than that. I enjoyed the blooms. I enjoyed it around me. It's fine. It died. I'll get another one. So and then I think also it's just like just been I pray for my plants. I say, God help me. I don't need this plant to die. Like how can it die? And then when it still dies, it still remains God. So and I'm like, God is teaching me a lesson, not to give up, to be patient, to continue trusting Him, and also to keep educating myself on how to take care of them better. So it's been a mix of lessons learned, with the plants and yeah, a little bit crazy, but yeah. I actually talked to them and I'm like, you need to hold on, like you can. I tried to grow um, uh, a maple seeds. They sprouted, the seeds came out, and I started trying to regulate. I started everything, regulating the waters and everything, and grew them. I think they came out like 10, 10 of them. I kept losing them. Then one stayed and actually stayed longer for like 6 months. It wasn't actually growing. Then I decided to say, oh, I think let me change the soil and then mix more soil and change it. Kept watching it, monitoring and praying, God help me. I don't want this plant to die. This is the only one I have. I unfortunately it died. In my introverted world, I think plants have also turned my life around. I have met wonderful people through plants. I don't think if it weren't for shared passion for plants, I would ever have met them. I don't know what would connect us, but I think this is why I keep telling people, love plants, you'll meet wonderful people, you get connections you would never get elsewhere. So it's really been nice, especially meeting women, like very, like just seeing people who are busy, because sometimes most of the people will be like, I'm so busy, I can't take care of plants, I don't think I have the time. But then there are all these very busy people who are actually leaders in companies and societies in different ways, and they're actually like really really busy, but they still have time for plants. But also when we meet, just maybe during plant visits, we also get to talk about career things, and also maybe get to connect at different levels. And I've been able to get helped in non-plant areas, but through people that I met through plants, or connection to a better school, or connection to a better either healthcare or something. So we get even to talk beyond plants. And I think that has been a turning point for me into actually becoming a bit more social. I know I've had people complain and say, "Oh, women, why?" I have told people, have plants at your home, no gossiping. Every time people come, you're talking about each plant. Literally, you're discussing each plant. So you don't have time actually for talking about who passed where, the fly that did what. You actually literally talking about the plant, which one does what, or how does it bloom. Oh, do you know this bring bees? Oh, do you know this does it? Do you know this? If you want to do, like, there's so much to talk about plants that every time people visit or when you go visiting, you're actually talking positive. I think for me it's been one of the best thing I think around the plants, that you get to positive talking, and like I said, so after you talked plants, just a little time you're talking about career, you're asking, oh, so how did you make it this way? How did you do this? So it's plants have been a blessing to me, meeting very nice women, wonderful people that have spoken into my life, that have motivated me, that have even helped me, like inspired me to grow as a woman, but also even in terms of career. And I'm also inspired by some other women that are actually older than me, just seeing what they are doing with themselves in their homes. I'm like, okay, wait, I still have a lot of energy, and what am I doing? So I'm challenged every time I'm doing that. So I'm challenged to work hard. Yeah, yeah. We have 5 dogs. Yeah, and they don't mess up with the plants. Recently, I think we had an incident. There's one of the dog that we took time to move and just moved in, and I don't know whether it was an excitement. It uprooted the bromeliads, and but I just had to discipline it around the plants, and 2 weeks now, nothing has happened. So stick had to pinch it. The bat brought the plant where the plant is, showed it the plant. This is the plant you destroyed. Don't do it again, and talk to them. They understand. So we talk to them. Do not play again with these plants. Pinch it. You show it. The plant is destroyed. Pinch it at the back. Yeah, so I did that. Every time it's not getting anywhere close to the plants. And then also what we did initially with the dogs, got its poo, the dry one, and put it on the plants. They were playing around. So every time it thinks that's its potty place, it do not come. Of course, we took them away later on, but they stopped coming in. And yeah, so you can condition them. You can condition them, the dogs, everyone, and the kids. Yeah, had our youngest had to show him, you can admire the plants and enjoy the blooms from a distance. Do not touch. No picking. We're supposed to admire them, not picking. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a very wide kind of question, because I'm just thinking, yeah, some plants love, if you want your plant big, it means you need to give it a big pot. And because then sometimes there's some plants that are so big, I'll say like the bougainvillea is one of the things I've seen. If it can grow wild, but then if you want to keep it in a certain shape and certain size, then you have to limit it. Meaning you have to give it a smaller pot so it can stress it and make it kind of a bonsai, but to the size of what you want it to look like. So literally for me, I think what I've learned is that for any plants, depending on how you want it. If you want it big, give it a big pot. If you want it small in a certain size and shape, you that will also determine the kind of pot that you're going to give them. And then in terms of colors, I think it depends on how different people have to match their colors. I think there are people who mismatch them and they still look nice. There are people who like very bright pots, um, still it will look nice. So it depends on what one wants to see in their eyes. I think there's when I see some bright ones and I feel like they're burning my eyes. So I'm a very, just like I said, introverted. Even my colors a bit calm, apart from the blooms. I like the blooms bright. But with the pots, I'm a bit very rigid with the calm colors. But also, it also depends on your home, like the finishing of your home. There's some pots that won't match your house. We just moved house, and I had pots that I had at the previous house that I think really fitted so well there. And then I brought them here, and they totally were a mismatch, and I had to get rid of them. So that also depends on your kind of finishing. So it's going to determine the kind of pots that you're going to have, or maybe even the kind of colors that you can have for your pot. So there's so many factors. I would say sometimes you don't have to stress about what I was saying. I think key thing here is, how do you want to see your plant look like? You, like as you, because everyone has their different tastes. It gets crazy and it's overwhelming, and with all the plant things, like they never end. Something new will come up. So sometimes you can be creative yourself and just choose to be unique. It's just the other thing. I don't like common things, so I will have to struggle around finding something different, something unique. Yeah, so it depends on individuals. If you are watching this video and you don't love plants and you don't have plants, love plants, love plants, love plants. That's what I can tell you. And there's no excuse for you like not to have plants, because it just turns around everything. It's, I'll say, everyone in my family has now become part of plants. Like everyone loves plants. You find my husband, the kids, everyone is taking pictures in the plants, which you think it's great, but we all love it, and it makes us happy,